Was there a defining moment to where you said, I'm going to be a man? And if so, what was that day like? Can you talk a little bit about it?
I, it's not necessarily. It was like I said. I've always known that I was male. So it was more of me having to come to terms with what I've already known my whole life. So it was a very emotional day. Very emotional day. I actually didn't tell any of my family. My best friend, she was the first to know. Um, so it was very emotional, and everybody was like, "Well, I already knew. This is who you are." So it made me feel better because I didn't have to explain myself to anybody because they already knew. You'll probably see a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it's a mental illness." Something that you've always known is not a mental illness, and it never will be. You can argue with people who are straight all day long. Well, they never had to. You don't argue with them about them being straight. So why would you argue with someone who's transgender? You can't. Your argument's invalid because you can't argue with something that someone you can't argue with someone who's always known who they are. You can't do it. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's not like you wake up and say, "Oh, hey, I'm transgender." No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But I still get negative feedback from people, especially people who know that I'm trans and don't just see me as a man, they see me as a trans man. That's where a lot of the negativity comes in. Now, if somebody was to just not know me, they would know, hey, he's a man, so being transgender is not a problem. But if they didn't know and they had a problem with me being trans, okay, well, there's your issue. It is a big deal when someone gets misgendered because they've wanted this, they've known who they are their whole life. And for other people to see them as someone that they're not, that's what makes it so hard.
Right.
So when someone gets misgendered, they're like, oh, I've been who I'm not my whole life, basically. Can somebody just for once see me who I really am? So it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Like I said, I personally take pride in being a trans man, but I don't want that label attached to me. I just want people to say, "Hey, he's a male," without knowing that I am trans. Um, and it's very hard for people to drop the label trans because that's how you came to be yourself. So that's how I came to be myself. So they feel that that's what they need to use to identify me, and just all you have to say is I'm male. You don't have to use the label trans. Just use male. That's it.